Warm global welcome to our customers, partners, and team members joining us today for our inaugural Partner Spotlight call on our new broadcast channel, amplify.jobscience.com. The Amplify program is a chance for everyone to get even more from the job science solution through knowledge sharing. It's a chance for some of the world's best recruiting teams to share their best practices, a chance for some of the highest rated App Exchange talent to show how they're helping our customers, those very recruiting teams, out-deliver their competition. And finally, it's a chance for all of us to help the world's strongest talent have the biggest impact they can. I'm Robbie Hurd, Partners and Programs Manager here at Jobscience, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Glenn Lehner, the Chief Business Development Officer at LinkPoint360. Please introduce yourself, Glenn.
Hello, everyone. I'm Glenn Lehner, the Chief Business Development Officer here at LinkPoint360, and thank you, Robbie, for inviting me to discuss LinkPoint Connect.
Super. So, Glenn, I love the tagline of save time, work efficiently, and close more deals. I'm going to give you presentation rights to show us how you're doing just that and allowing our customers to achieve these capabilities.
So some of the key areas that really focus on productivity and becoming more efficient for the user is our LinkPoint side panel. And you could see that on the right side of my Microsoft Outlook inbox. What LinkPoint will provide is a contextual view of all the job science data for the contact or contacts on the selected email. In this example, Fred Johnson sent me an email regarding an inquiry regarding a position. And what LinkPoint is displaying is everything from job science for this particular candidate. It's showing me his personal information, his phone numbers, his email addresses, and all the related data from job science, things such as possible applications that I could apply to, or a candidate summary about Fred Johnson. You could see his past education history or employment history. So you could see as I go through the different sections or the related data from job science here within Microsoft Outlook, I don't have to go back and forth between job science and my Outlook to find the data that I need to make a decision or to reply or to get something back into job science. And we have other information from job science being displayed here as well, such as offers or placements, what skills this individual may have. You can even see all the past email communications that either I or someone within my organization had with Fred Johnson. All the emails that were stored back into job science are now visible within Microsoft Outlook. If you've had events or interviews with the candidate, they would be displayed here as well, such as, in addition to tasks and even notes. So you can see the wealth of information visible to the user from within Outlook. But not only can you view this information, we want to make the user become more productive and efficient. And the way we do that is by allowing the user to use what we call these little productivity type icons. And all the icons represent different productivity type features. For example, if I do need to go to job science to see something additional about Fred Johnson, I could click the little logo here on the top left, and what that will do is open up the Fred Johnson contact record in job science. And you could see now I could view additional information or update a candidate, do what I need to do, but quickly get to it by just clicking the icon. Some of the other icons that we have available to the user is if I need to apply to a job, if there was a a job available that I want to apply Fred Johnson to, I could click the plus sign, and it would bring me right to the apply to a job screen inside of Jobscience. If I want to create a quick note regarding Fred Johnson, I can, and that would be stored back into Jobscience. The log a call feature, I consider that kind of important. Recording emails and recording calls back into Jobscience, those interactions are very critical to make someone more efficient and more productive. Because a lot of times someone might get an email that said, "Can you give me a call to discuss one of your positions?" Well, typically the recruiter might call that individual, but may not log it back into Jobscience. So nobody really knows if that call happened or what the discussion was about for that call. So by clicking the log a call screen, you'll notice that it instantly populates the log a call screen in Jobscience. It's populating Fred Johnson. And then I could type in my call notes about this discussion that I had with Fred Johnson. You know, maybe it was about his salary or what type of position he's looking for. Well, that information can be put back into Jobscience, which makes it a little bit more efficient and more productive for the user or for the team that needs that information.
That's great, Glenn. And I also noticed that when you click that button, it actually pulled the job title that you're calling Fred about into the object. So it looks like it's storing the record on Fred Johnson, the call activity on Fred's record. It looks like it's recording it on the job as well, which is important. So if I'm working on an assignment and but I'm not working on Fred Johnson and I'm your colleague, I can see that you actually logged a call yesterday regarding this job to Fred on the job record itself, which is important.
Yep, and you can associate that call with pretty much any record or any other related information within Jobscience. So whether it's an application or even an employment history or education history, you could click on that log a call icon, and the discussion could be about anything about any of those records within Jobscience.
Glenn, I've got a quick question about the latency and the update feature of my email environment to my Jobscience environment. If I notice that in Fred's last resume that his address is actually different, A, how easy is it for me to edit that information on the fly whilst I'm in Outlook? And B, how quickly or slowly does that actually write to the Salesforce platform in Jobscience?
So the way the LinkPoint works is the information being displayed here within the LinkPoint side panel is real time coming from Salesforce, coming from Jobscience. So as soon as I look at information, this is what's coming directly from Jobscience instantly. So there's really no latency here. To update, if you do notice that maybe a phone number is incorrect or some other information needs to be updated, what you would do is open up Jobscience. You could go right to the information or to edit, to edit the information that you need to edit. For example, if I need to update his phone number to 5555, I'll save it. As soon as I come back into my Outlook and I just click the refresh icon here on the LinkPoint side panel, you will notice that the information being displayed has been refreshed because we just instantly got it from Jobscience.
Perfect, perfect. And this actual email, hi Glenn, I'm interested in talking further. How do what actions do I have to undertake to record that email onto the record?
So it's quite simple. One of the things that we definitely want to try to promote is recording these interactions such as emails back into Jobscience because that's very critical. So to record an email, for example, this inbound email from Fred Johnson, you'll notice that there are a couple icons on the toolbar One's called Record to Salesforce, and one's called Smart Record to Salesforce. The Record to Salesforce, when I click on the button, you'll notice comes up what we call our record screen. And what LinkPoint is doing is suggesting the best way to record this back into Jobscience. Because the email came from Fred Johnson, LinkPoint is suggesting Fred Johnson as the contact or candidate to associate it with. And you can see that because it's on the right side. LinkPoint is also showing all the related information that you may also want to associate this email with. If this email was regarding Fred Johnson in a particular application or a particular employment history or a placement, you could double click one of these items and also associate the email not only with Fred Johnson, but with this particular application. Or if you double clicked it by mistake, you could of course remove the item and just associate it with Fred Johnson. So when the window first appears, we are suggesting and recommending how it's best to be recorded. In this case, Fred Johnson. I click the Record Now button. That email is instantly saved back into Jobscience, and you can see a confirmation on the bottom right. And there's nothing else the user needs to do. LinkPoint also puts in a category of CRM. That way it's visible to the user that this email has been saved back into Jobscience. And you can see that right here on the category. Now, if I go back into my Jobscience or even look at my emails from here, you'll notice that the inquiry regarding position email is being displayed right here in the list. If I double click this item, you'll notice I could open up and do a quick view of that email to see the information or that actual email that was stored in Jobscience. So not only because I stored it in Jobscience, any of my colleagues who also could see Fred Johnson, the candidate record in Jobscience, can also view that email. So if I'm out on vacation or holiday, or I'm out sick, or I took another role in the company and someone else is handling this Fred Johnson candidate, he or she could see the same emails that I recorded.
Awesome. So I've noticed a couple of things here. By displaying a lot of the Jobscience fielded information into my Outlook client, I don't really have to go into Jobscience. I can see that Fred Johnson is on a certain base salary. He's being considered for these positions right now at these statuses. I can see the last job that he applied for, even an executive summary. So it's giving me all of these reminders to furnish me with the information as a recruiter to have an intelligent discussion or take an intelligent next step with Fred. And I'm assuming, Glenn, that when I record it to the Salesforce platform on which Jobscience sits, that if I delete the email from my inbox, we're going to maintain that, maintain the email on Fred and on the job record in Jobscience.
That's 100% correct. Even when emails get archived from Outlook, any of the information that was stored back into Jobscience will remain in Jobscience. So you'll have the history there, going back, whether it's 6 months, a year, several years. You will have all the information stored in in Jobscience, even though you might archive those emails, which is an important thing because nowadays everybody's getting forced to archive emails because their mailboxes get too big, but you'll still have that information within Jobscience that you would need. So they'll always remain within in Jobscience, there's always a section called Activity History where all your emails are always stored.
That's great. That's great. And of course, for those watching this broadcast today that are intimate with Salesforce, but perhaps for those that aren't, those activity histories are date and time stamped with the username, and they sort of never go away. And so if there are any well laid out reports and dashboards that anybody has built for tracking activity, that's all going to be stored automatically. Before we go on to calendaring, Glenn, I just want to mention something. The way that we worked when I was running a recruiting team at Salesforce is we would often block some time off during the day purely to crush through our email inbox. I would dedicate an hour first thing in the morning, typically something early afternoon, and then something around 4 o'clock to get through my email and also my voicemail. What this does is it allows me to stay in my Outlook environment and literally dedicate that piece of time to getting through, crushing my inbox as effectively as possible, providing the user with all of the information that they need without flicking back into the job science system, and ultimately getting the most out of that hour, so that when I'm done with my email time, I can get on to my next task. Do you have any sense, Glenn, of how much time this saves people?
Well, I think it does save a lot of time. It makes users more efficient. By not having to copy and paste all the information or flip-flopping back and forth between systems, by really just focusing in, let's say in Microsoft Outlook, it allows you, countless, hours of time, especially with the with meetings and schedule, and copying and pasting of emails. What we see many times is users are taking or creating an appointment in Outlook. Let's say I have a interview meeting with one of my candidates, and then we find out that they're actually going back into into Job Science and entering that appointment the same way they just did it in Outlook. Well, with LinkPoint, when you create the meeting inside of Outlook, LinkPoint will synchronize that meeting or move it into Job Science or vice versa. So you don't have to enter it into two places. And not only do you not have to enter it into two places, you don't have to remember that if something does change in one system, that you have to go now and change it in the other. Because if that candidate meeting was at 3 o'clock and he called you to say, can we move it to 4 or till tomorrow? Well, a lot of times you'll change it in one system and you would forget to change it in the corresponding system. But with LinkPoint, you don't have to worry about that. No matter what you do with a meeting, whether it's in Outlook or in Salesforce, it will update the corresponding system automatically.
That's great. Before you show us calendar, Glenn, a lot of our customers, either in temp to contract or temp placement, or even the sales users at our customer sites, are very impatient. They're some of the worst offenders of a lack of data entry into their CRM. What is the Smart Record to Salesforce? Is that a quick way of I'm going to use this term again, crushing through my email inbox and getting the activity recorded?
It is. There are a couple purposes or benefits of the Smart Record. And let me just show you one quickly of how you would use it. One of the things that, we're showing all this contextual information about the contact or candidate from Job Science in the side panel. As I click to a different email, you'll notice that LinkPoint will instantly refresh the side panel with all the Job Science data for the contact on that new email. So you notice that now everything about Jake Smith is being displayed. So if I go through the different related tables or objects, you'll see it's all about Jake Smith now, where before it was about Fred Johnson. So as you go through your inbox, you'll notice that the side panel constantly refreshes. Now, if I want to record an email quickly back into Job Science without having that extra screen pop up on having to choose other information or related data, if I use the Smart Record to Salesforce, when I click on this, what LinkPoint will do is instantly instantly record this email from Jake Smith to the Jake Smith contact record in Job Science. So you'll notice that it instantly recorded it, but there was no second screen to have to click through. So it's a quick way of recording emails without having to manually click OK on that second screen. Or another way that some users will use this tool is when you're on a particular email or emails, you could select multiple emails and click the Smart Record. And what it will do is actually go through each one and record it back into Jobscience. So a lot of users might use that inside their inbox that they received emails from last week or last month, or they might go in their sent folder and choose a group of emails to record back into Jobscience.
That's great.
So it's a quick and efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, and I just know that a lot of the firm owners that are trying desperately to get their sales teams to record activity, the terms I often hear, Glenn, is it's like pushing rope. It's a challenge. I can never find something that they're happy with. But they're going to love this because there really is no excuse for a person doing business development to not click one button. And it's directly in line with Jobscience philosophy to constantly be striving to minimize clicks. So I love it. Can you just show the viewers how easy it is to add a calendar item into my calendar, and what steps one needs to undertake to get it recorded properly?
Sure. And right before I do that, let me just go over one more item regarding email. So we've been showing you how to record inbound emails back into Jobscience. A lot of times a recruiter might respond to an email that they want to save back into Jobscience as well. So if I am replying to an email, for example, this email to Jake Smith, so my keyboard stopped working, is my reply. So this might be my reply to Jake Smith, but you'll notice that most of the time users will use the send button to send this email to Jake Smith. But you will notice that there are a couple buttons up on the toolbar for LinkPoint. One's called Send and Record. Another one's called Smart Send and Record. If this is an email that you want to send, but also record back into Jobscience, in this case to Jake Smith's contact record, I can use my Send and Record button. It knows that I'm sending it to Jake Smith, and I click the Record Now button here, which will send the email and save it back to Jake Smith. So the email that I just sent is now also located in Jobscience as the email history, or those interactions that are stored back in the Jobscience. So I just want to make sure that users are aware not only inbound emails, but outbound emails can be saved back into Jobscience as well.
I'm glad you pointed that out. And something I've heard a number of our customers and our prospects actually ask about is will that email also be in my sent items? And of course, that email in its entirety, including attachments, will be recorded in Jobscience on the candidate or the candidate and the job record if you've associated it. Plus, if I click in my sent items, I'll also see the email in its entirety there, if I'm not mistaken, Glenn, right?
Correct. Yep, absolutely. And you also notice that it's been flagged that it was recorded back into Jobscience.
That's great. That's great. If we can spend the last 3 or 4 minutes just running through calendaring, that would be great, Glenn.
Okay. So the calendaring is pretty straightforward. When a user creates a new meeting or a new appointment inside of their email client, such as Outlook or even IBM Notes, they're going to compose the meeting as they normally would. If this was a meeting, let's say with I'm going to invite Fred, who's one of my candidates. So this might be a preliminary interview. Let's talk to see what your interests are. So I'm composing my meeting as I normally would. You will notice that on top of the meeting, there is an extra section called for the LinkPoint Connect. And there's a link that's it's called unassigned now because we haven't assigned this meeting to any record inside of Jobscience. So when I click the unassigned link, a very similar screen comes up as we saw it for the email, where we can associate this meeting with records or candidates inside of Jobscience. In this case, it's Fred Johnson. I could click OK, and you'll see that up here it now says candidate Fred Johnson. So what this will do is when it does synchronize over to Jobscience, it will associate this meeting in Jobscience. I'm sorry, it will associate this meeting with Fred Johnson that appears in Jobscience. So I would click send. You know, I'm just doing my typical creating the appointment, and you will see that this information is all within Outlook, and once it synchronizes, it would appear in Jobscience under the calendar. The calendar would appear under the home screen as you normally would, where I would see those calendar entries also stored under the candidate or contacts that you associate them with. So once we synchronized, those appointments would come over into Salesforce, and any appointments that were modified or added in Salesforce would come in Jobscience would come back into the Microsoft Outlook as well. So that the appointments or the meetings would appear in both systems. And when you look at these meetings, of course, you can always see who they're associated with, such as Fred Johnson or whatever candidate we have selected.
That's great. To my point earlier on of our philosophy to always allow the user to stay in the environment that they want to be in to be as productive as possible, but give and provide and serve up the information that they need to be effective, that's one of the main reasons why we recommend LinkPoint360 over the free Salesforce for Outlook plugin. Can you talk about some of the other challenges with the free plugin that you've heard your customers talk about prior to their transition to LinkPoint360 since you've been in business now for 14 years, Glenn?
Yeah, so sometimes people always want to know why they're, why use LinkPoint instead of the free Salesforce for Outlook tool. And one of the biggest reasons users or organizations will use LinkPoint is, number one, LinkPoint has been customized to specifically work with Jobscience data. So we're showing you everything about Jobscience data, such as your, as I went through before, the candidate summaries, the educations, the applications, employment histories, all that information is being visible. With the standard out-of-the-box Salesforce for Outlook, you really don't get all that information. The only thing you might get is a candidate name to be displayed. Another key area that we focus or stand out from is our support. LinkPoint is known for providing great support to its customers, whether it's the implementation or during the use of LinkPoint. Any user of LinkPoint can go to our website and instantly chat with one of our support team members. So if they have a question on how do I record an email, or how do I synchronize my calendar, or how do I not show some information, they could quickly chat with our support team, and they're gladly to help and assist them and get that question answered for them. And one of the other key areas is many of the recruiting firms that we work with don't always use Exchange as an email server. They might use Microsoft Outlook, but they're pointing to a different email server, whether it's a Gmail server or whether it's some other POP3 type of server or SMTP server. The standard Salesforce for Outlook tool doesn't support that. You need to have only Exchange in order for it to work, where the LinkPoint solution will work with no matter what email server you might be using. And LinkPoint does come out with many new features quite often. Because Salesforce has to support so many users, they don't move too quickly when releasing new features on the Salesforce for Outlook tool. It takes them a long time to get new features or to support something into that product. Where the LinkPoint, we try to provide updates 2-3 times a year with new features. Some of the new features coming out in our roadmap are things like email tracking. So when I do send an email to let's say to a candidate, I could see when he or she has opened it or how many times they have opened the email. So that will help the recruiter know which candidates might be more anxious to, let's say, get a new position, rather than if I'm sending an email consistently to a candidate who's not reading my emails, then maybe he or she's not really interested in switching roles or positions. So that's a new feature that's coming out later this year.
That's great. And personally speaking, it's a recommendation that our team have been making for several years now, not least because of how stable your solution is in comparison with the less updated and the more legacy free option that's out there, Glenn. So I appreciate you going over all those additional benefits. Where can people see and find out about pricing and download a trial and download this into their job science, or to give it can they give it a try for a little while before they decide to pull the trigger?
Absolutely. To download our evaluation or free trial, you could visit the LinkPoint360.com/jobscience link, and you'll find it on our website where you could click on the free trial button to download your free evaluation. As well, for the current and latest pricing for LinkPoint for Job Science, you go to our website, and the current pricing is $10 per user per month, which in terms of looking for becoming more, for user productivity and job science adoption and becoming more efficient, it's worth it.
That's great. That's great. I'm going to change presenter back again here to finish off our presentation today. Glenn, I want to thank you for your continued partnership. It's a privilege for us here at Jobscience to be associated with a company that has done so much for our customers' productivity. I did want to let you know that I checked you out on the App Exchange earlier on this week, and I noticed that LinkPoint 360 was well above, I think, 370 4- or 5-star reviews on the App Exchange, which is a very, very strong endorsement on one of the busiest business platforms in the world today. So thank you so much for your continued partnership, Glenn. We're going to continue highlighting the benefits of LinkPoint 360 to our customers, and we want you to know that we enjoy our partnership with you.
And ditto here. LinkPoint 360 is proud to work with Job Science, and very glad that we are with our long-term relationship with you guys as well.
Thanks very much, Glenn. For the viewers, please know that on Wednesday, 12th of August, we'll be running another Partner Spotlight round, and we look forward to hearing from you between now and then on the number of channels that I mentioned here. We've got the new amplify.jobscience.com channel up and running today, I'm glad to say. For our customers, you can click on your Ideas tab and add in ideas there. They'll be collected amongst the over 590 global job science customers and rated, and our development team continues to pay a lot of importance to our customers' feedback with our own roadmap and its priority. And if any LinkPoint 360 customers need anything, if you go to linkpoint360.com/support, you'll find a very rich offering of not only support but also enablement videos to really help you quickly get this solution up and running really, really smoothly. And then finally, for those that are considering taking a closer look at the Jobscience system, please know that you can contact us at sales@jobscience.com. Thanks very much, everyone. It's been our pleasure to present this partner spotlight today. I'm Robbie Hurd at Jobscience, and I look forward to future Amplify programs. Take care.